Big data. It's a term we hear thrown around all the time. But let's be honest, a lot of companies are still struggling to turn these massive data sets into actual real-world results. So today, we're going to break down the playbook that separates the successful data strategies from the ones that just fizzle out. Let's dive in.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on what the real power of big data is all about. Then, we'll walk through a super important checklist, the stuff you have to think about before you even begin. After that, we're mapping out the entire analytics lifecycle step by step. And finally, we'll tie it all together to see how it leads to success.
So let's kick things off with the big picture. When we talk about big data, it's so easy to just think about making things faster or a little more efficient. But its true potential? Oh, it goes way, way beyond that.
To really get what big data can do, we have to think bigger than just simple upgrades. This is a force that can literally reshape what a business is and how it operates. The source material puts it perfectly. It demands a shift in mindset because it's going to fundamentally alter the structure of a business.
And that brings us to a really crucial distinction. You see, a lot of people are stuck on transformation, improving what you already do. And that's fine, it's pretty low risk. But big data? Its real magic is in sparking innovation, which is about creating something totally new, changing the very DNA of the business. That's where the incredible power is, but it also means you have to handle it with extreme care.
Okay, so if big data is this major force for innovation, how on earth do you prepare for it? Well, you wouldn't set off on a huge expedition without a map and a checklist, right? That's exactly what this next part is all about.
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You're sold on the potential, but that starting line can feel a little blurry. Well, any successful big data project has to start by getting a few critical things straight right from the get-go.
First up, privacy. And trust me, it's way trickier than you'd think. The real danger here isn't in one single sensitive file. It's in combining data sets that look totally harmless on their own, like, say, purchase histories and location data, and suddenly you can reveal deeply personal info that wasn't in either dataset by itself.
And that leads us right into security. Now, we're all kind of used to traditional systems where security is robust, it's baked right in. But a lot of big data tools are a different beast. They might use simple APIs or send data in plain text, which, you guessed it, opens up a whole new world of vulnerabilities you absolutely have to plan for. Next is a word you might not have heard before, provenance. This is basically the data's life story. Where did it come from? What's been done to it? Why does this matter so much? Because without it, you have no reason to trust your results. Provenance is what makes your analysis credible, something you can actually defend and repeat. Now, for a problem that might actually surprise you, it's not always the super complex analysis that's going to slow you down. Sometimes, the biggest bottleneck is the simple, boring-sounding task of just moving all that data around. And to really put that bottleneck in perspective, get this. Moving just 1 petabyte of data over a standard Office network would take 2,750 hours. That's more than 114 days, non-stop. Suddenly, network speed isn't a small detail, is it? It could be the single biggest roadblock to your whole project. So, to wrangle all of these risks, from privacy and security to just getting the data moved, you need a solid governance framework. And no, this isn't just about bureaucracy. It's the essential rulebook that makes sure everyone is handling data the same way, safely, and giving you the control you need to actually trust your own findings.
Okay, so we've laid out the challenges. They're pretty big. Now let's talk about the solution. The key to navigating all this complexity is having a structured, repeatable method. This analytics lifecycle is that roadmap, the thing that takes you from a simple business idea all the way to real-world impact.
And here it is. This is the entire journey, mapped out in 9 stages. See how it starts up in the boardroom with the business case? Then it dives deep into the technical weeds, finding data, cleaning it up, before climbing back out to the analysis, visualization, and finally, using the results to make actual business decisions. It's the full playbook from start to finish. So let's zoom in on stage 1, which is arguably the most important of all. Before a single line of code is written or a single byte is downloaded, you have to have a rock-solid business case. Every project must start with a clear why. What problem are you really trying to solve here?
And the absolute best way to define that why is to make your goals smart. This simple checklist is a game changer. It forces you to go from some vague ambition like, let's improve sales, to a concrete target like, we will increase Q4 sales by 5% using our new predictive model. See the difference? That's how you turn a wish into an actual project. Right, once you've got your mission, it's time to find the fuel, the data itself. This is all about identifying every possible source you can find, stuff you have internally, stuff you can get externally, and then bringing it all in. And just as important, this is where you start filtering out the noise, all the corrupt or irrelevant data that's just going to get in the way.
But, and this is a huge pro tip from the source material, before you touch anything, before you filter a single record, save a perfect, complete copy of the original dataset. Why? Because the data you dismiss as noise for this project might just be the golden signal you need for the next one. It's a simple step that can save you a world of pain later on.
Okay, now you've got the raw material. The next step is to get it into shape. Extraction is about pulling that data out of whatever weird format it's in and turning it into something usable. Then comes validation and cleansing, which is where you apply rules to fix errors, fill in gaps, and just generally make sure your data is high quality.
This little table shows exactly how that works. Let's say you have two datasets. You can use one to check the other. See here, the value 123 matches, so it's validated. But 457 doesn't match 456, so it gets flagged. And here's the cool part. If a value is missing in one dataset, you can use the other one to fill in that blank. This is how you build a much stronger, more complete set of data.
So we've been through the challenges, the pre-flight checklist, and the entire 9-stage life cycle. What does it all boil down to? What's the real takeaway for putting big data to work?
Here's the bottom line. You can have the most powerful, most expensive technology in the world, and it will be completely useless without a plan. Success with big data is not about the tools you buy. It's about combining that high-level strategic planning with a rigorous, disciplined process, just like the life cycle we just covered.
So the final thought I want to leave you with is this. The tools are here. The technology exists. That's not the problem. The real question is for you. Is your organization ready to do the hard work of building the framework, the planning, and the discipline needed to truly unlock their power?